Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Mark Hanrahan. We'll check in with Tom Sherry in just a moment. We have new details in the investigation of the WSU student who died last Tuesday. Pullman police say there were about 4 hours between when 19-year-old Sam Martinez died and when police got the call and arrived at the fraternity house. KREM 2's Shayna Waldtower brings us the latest on the police and university investigations tonight. Shayna?
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Right now, the university says its main efforts are on communicating with students on things from reporting medical emergencies to underage drinking. The university says it's also placed restrictions on the fraternity that Martinez was involved with.
Whenever we have a tragedy like a student death, it causes us to take a step back and say, what more can we do? What more do we need to look at? And I think we will certainly be doing that in this case.
WSU has not made any policy changes since the death of 19-year-old Samuel Martinez. We are learning more about the morning the student died at an ATO fraternity house. Last Tuesday, Pullman police responded to a call about an unresponsive student inside the fraternity house. Detective Jake Opkenorth with the department says they got the call around 8:30 a.m. and arrived just minutes later. But a report from the coroner's office says Martinez died around 4:30 a.m. Police are investigating the case as an alcohol-related incident. But WSU spokesperson Phil Weiler says he doesn't believe the delay in time was because students hesitated to call the police because Martinez was a minor. Both WSU and the state of Washington have Good Samaritan laws in place.
And you're not going to be you're not going to be in trouble for reporting that information.
The university has taken away ATO's fraternity status.
Essentially what that means is they can no longer refer to themselves as a WSU affiliated chapter, and there's certain privileges that they lose as a result of that.
This is temporary depending on what the investigation reveals.
Once the investigation is complete and we have a really good understanding of what actually happened, then we'll decide what the next steps are.
He says the school sent a memo to students reminding them of campus rules for underage drinking and substance abuse. The school teaches orientation classes to prevent alcohol abuse. They've been around for years.
Incoming students typically think that there is a lot more alcohol consumed than in fact there really is. And so part of this training is to help set expectations for what what is life in college really like.
He says pop culture often gives an unrealistic view of college life. When I ask if WSU is making any policy changes after this student's death, Weiler said they are waiting on the investigation to decide a course of action. The Pullman Police Department said they are no longer considering hazing as a possible cause of this case. The school, though, hasn't ruled that out.
Because they were students, obviously, and they were part of a registered, recognized fraternity, we have our own investigation.
Now, in just about 30 minutes here, students will be holding a vigil right here on campus so they can remember Martinez and his life here on campus. Reporting in Pullman, Shayna Waldtower, KREM 2 News.
Shayna, thank you very much. Meantime, in North Idaho, an elementary school is closed because half of the students are sick. Silver Hills Elementary in Osborne closed school today and tomorrow so that staff can disinfect classrooms. Our Taylor Vito joins us live from the school with more on how rare this is and what the school is now doing. Taylor.
Yeah, well, Mark, it's not only students who are sick, but staff members too. The principal tells me that the flu and strep throat are to blame, and now you can bet it's smelling like bleach in there. The playground, empty. The library books all on their shelves, and no librarians or students here, only a cleaning person. A large message at the front entrance made it clear. No school today or tomorrow because of so many sick people.
Well, shocked in the overall number. And of course that it hadn't dropped down.
In a somewhat uncommon move, Silver Hills canceled classes due to just over 100 students who called out sick yesterday. That's 40% of all students here.
As far as those numbers, that's almost double of the highest I've ever had on a single day in 12 years. So,
on top of that, 9 adult staff members were sick too. Today, staff spent time disinfecting various surfaces at Silver Hills. The principal tells me tabletops, light switches, lockers, and other areas were targeted. At the end of it all, one staff member told me over the phone the whole school smelled like bleach. The 2 days off of school will hopefully provide a buffer to let some people recover and others determine if they've come down with the flu or strep. It's not often something like this happens. About a year and a half ago, Silver Hills canceled school for one day, primarily due to staff members being sick and a lack of substitutes. But the principal says it hasn't been like this in terms of so many sick kids.
Hopefully Thursday's numbers look a little bit better and we'll go from there.
Now, to put this in perspective, I reached out to the Coeur d'Alene School District to ask if anything like this has ever happened there. Keep in mind that district is larger. A school district spokesman in Coeur d'Alene told me that in recent memory, they haven't had to cancel any classes due to illness. Live in Osborne, Taylor Vito, KREM 2 News.
All right, Taylor, thank you very much. Turning to weather now, we are finally about to get the break from the rain. We're tracking sunny skies in the next few days. Let's get straight to Thomas Patrick standing by in the Weather Center. Thomas.
Yeah, so after this bit of rainfall, should be okay for the rest of the week, but that's why my attention is already focused on the Thanksgiving holiday. So while things look just a little wet out there right now, snow may be in the picture. So here's what you need to know really just right off the bat. Let's get this off our chest. There's a potential, just a potential at this point, for some Thanksgiving snow or around the holiday. Watching at least one potential storm system, especially mid next week, especially right before Thanksgiving. Details are vague, but it's something at least to watch out for now. As for the weekend ahead, the weekend before Thanksgiving, there's also another small chance for some rain and snow showers either early in the day on Sunday or at least a little bit later. But it's a pretty small chance. That's why I think the Thanksgiving stuff might be a bigger deal overall. But as for that rainfall tonight, well, it's just about finished. I think there's a little bit moving near the Tico area. But other than that, we should be good to go for the rest of the night, the morning, and really the rest of the week. Notice how those clouds do clear out before the morning hours come tomorrow. So a lot to unpack, especially with that four-letter S word come next week. So I'll give you a more detailed look at what you can expect and just what we don't know as of this point of the forecast. But that's all coming up in a few minutes.
All right, we'll check in with you then. Thank you very much, Thomas. A stretch of Wellesley Avenue was closing Thursday as part of the North Spokane Corridor project, also known as the North-South Freeway. The road will be closed between Market and Freya Streets, and that area will be closed for 3 years. That means drivers will need to reroute a mile north to Francis or a mile south to Euclid, adding about 3 extra minutes to your drive. The closure will allow the North-South Freeway to expand to Wellesley by the year 2022. It'll eventually be done, we're told. We want to warn you the images in this next story may be disturbing. A Spangle man is offering a reward for any information leading to whoever killed his 2 calves over the weekend. He shared with KREM 2's Amanda Rowley how this will impact his family.
Paul Whitley Frost owns this land in Spangle and uses it to raise livestock.
Just keep trying to build a herd. That's what we're doing.
He says over the weekend, someone shot and killed 2 of his 6-month-old calves.
Well, we think they picked the 2 smallest ones so that they could probably load them into a pickup. And there's some tracks where they backed up to the bank like they were going to load it up.
He thinks their dog or something may have scared them off, which is the only way he can explain why the calves were left dead on his property.
Don't have a lot to go on.
He didn't hear anything that night, and even with surveillance cameras, he says it was too foggy to see anything.
And there was a lot of footprints and in the gravel there.
The death of his 2 calves is not just a loss of livestock, it's a loss of income to support his family as a single dad.
I'm living on disability, so I don't make much a month. I got 6 kids, and it's our kind of our side income, so to speak, and it's a lot of money down the drain.
As calves, they may not be worth much now, but he says their value increases as they grow. Frost is frustrated about what happened, but even more torn on how to explain this to his children.
You know, why did somebody shoot 2 baby cows? That's hard to explain to your kids.
Law enforcement is investigating the death of the calves. Frost is even offering a cash reward for any information that could lead to an arrest.
Hopefully get somebody to pay for what they did, I guess.
Meantime, he plans to set up additional surveillance cameras to keep an even closer eye on his livestock.
And I'll probably start feeding real close to the house there where I can, I guess, cut the risk down.
Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
For the first time, we are hearing from witnesses who were on that July 25th phone call between President Donald Trump and the president of Ukraine. That call is at the center of the impeachment inquiry. 4 key witnesses testified today saying they were concerned about the call.
I found the July 25th phone call unusual.
Frankly, I couldn't believe what I was hearing.
Democrats are trying to make the case that withholding military aid to Ukraine in exchange for investigations into the Bidens is an impeachable offense. In the meantime, Republicans called the whole inquiry a charade and tried to redirect the focus onto the Bidens. President Donald Trump called the proceedings a big scam.
President Trump put his own personal and political interests above those of the nation.
Why did Burisma hire Hunter Biden? What did he do for them? And did his position affect any U.S. government actions under the Obama administration?
3 witnesses, including the ambassador to the European Union, Gordon Sondland, are expected to testify tomorrow. If you are planning on getting a fresh-cut Christmas tree this year, be prepared to spend a little more money this year. Oregon, the biggest Christmas tree producing state, is having a shortage right now. And we want to know, do you prefer a real tree or an artificial tree? Let us know by clicking on the Vote Now tab on the KREM 2 mobile app. Tree farmers in Oregon are blaming the climate for affecting how the trees are growing. It's the result of a seedling shortage from up to 10 years ago, they said. Fewer seedlings, well, that means fewer big trees now. Dry, hot summers in 2017 and 2018 didn't help either. In fact, some tree farms have shut down because of a lack of trees.
So labor is in tight supply, and Christmas trees is a very labor-intensive crop. But across the country, we're in the same boat. North Carolina is the second biggest producer. They're having a bit of a shortage as well.
Well, while there are still trees this year, some will be much smaller than in years past. Some tree growers say in some cases you could even see a $20 price hike. So taking a live look at our poll, we asked you to prefer an artificial tree or a real one, and 45% saying a real one, 37% saying an artificial tree, another 16% or so saying I don't get a tree. Thank you for weighing in on that vote.